You're welcome to this edition of the Economy and Politics Show. I'm Otu Abasi Abaseko. The economy plays a key role in swinging the direction of the electorate in an election. In this edition, we're going to look at 7 critical issues on the economy as the election date draws near. The first is the tax policy code. Nigeria has been a rentier state for over 50 years running now, with over 75% of its revenue coming from crude oil sales. It would have been an opportunity for it to diverse its economy like other OPEC-producing countries. But this was not taken seriously, and today the country is left with a wider strategy of taxation, which is being deployed by the federal government. The big question is, how impactful would that be at the moment the country is going through declining sales in oil price? Dr. Ayo Teriba and Dr. Doyin Salami, both economists looking at these issues, have shared the belief that Nigeria's economic team must be methodical and strategic in their approach and vigorously transit from the rentier state status. Other African countries like Algeria and Egypt are sophisticated in their taxation policies or strategy than Nigeria. This is why, even after the elections, the next government must restructure a firm and robust tax policy structure. Now to the second issue, which is very critical and which has been discussed both by President Goodluck Jonathan of the People's Democratic Party in his meeting with the private sector, and of course General Muhammadu Buhari in his also meeting with the private sector. Infrastructure. It is massive. It is something that would unlock the growth potentials of Nigeria. Looking at the rail, the roads, and even the waterways project, which is critical to development of the economy. So infrastructure needs key, and for this to be achieved in the country, the next government after this election must look at effective funding strategy. Considering the 2020 economic plan of the country to be attained greatness as one of the key economies in the country, there must be a revived focus through privatization, as we've seen by this present administration in the power sector. But for road network projects that are ongoing and also the issue of the rail systems, we need to have a robust manner from the locomotive even to the light rail system. And there is need for the transformation of the landscape, and the funding is where it will be the key issue. There are various funding options which will be able to help achieve this. First, the pension funds, which can be deployed to boost infrastructure. Currently at 4.6 trillion naira, the 2004 Pension Act has been reformed to see how it can be deployed effectively. The capital market is an available platform where in the past we've seen bond instruments raised to tackle various projects. There is also a debate on the privatization of the rail system, as economists believe that this is very key to boosting Nigeria's competitiveness. The rail sector needs to be privatized, and that issue continues to pervade the space. In a nutshell, the infrastructure master plan currently by the federal government is critical to its implementation, and whichever way the election swings, that will be a key economic issue to be focused on and achieved for Nigeria's overall economic growth. The next critical one is the subsidy removal, and this has to do with the fuel subsidy. Remember 2012 January, it wasn't a pleasant experience when we had the protests, the strikes against the removal of fuel subsidy then by this administration. But now, key stakeholders are calling for it to be removed. Notable stockbroker Mr. Lutola Mobolorin and sagacious financial analyst Mr. Bismarck Rewani both agree that it's time for the removal of fuel subsidy. Mr. Rewani believes that if it is removed, Nigeria can save $3.5 billion, which would aid the economy, cut the waste, and focus on key priority investments. For those that can remember, when we look back at the protests and even the expenditure now, even with the Shopee investments, there is need to review the issue of the subsidy. And whichever way the election goes, the next government has to take this seriously, because Nigeria has to really review its spending structure and also the need to deregulate the petroleum sector, and know that the PIB bill is still in National Assembly for implementation. And so this will be very critical for the country to look at, very tough economic decision to take, which I believe at this stage, the Nigerian populace would see need for government to take this strong decision, and a better form of communication to show the nation the bigger picture for the reasons why the subsidy should be removed. Next is the perceived 2015 budget of austerity. This budget is pegged at about 4.7 trillion naira. Austerity is not really an interesting word for anyone to take, considering what we've seen in Greece, in Spain and even Italy. And considering the challenges in the Eurozone because of the issues of austerity, and then looking at the challenges of the crude oil price and the declining revenue, this administration is leaning by faith on its benchmark projections and even estimated earnings. Even the federal allocations has been dropping, with the last month going at about 500 billion naira spread across the federal, state and local levels. At the moment, some states are even having issues from this declining revenue with payment of salaries to civil servants. And so considering this, the benchmark of about $168 naira to a dollar compared to the brazen reality of about 208 to 210 naira to a dollar at the moment is one issue. Another issue is the budget benchmark of 65 naira to a dollar compared to the $45 to $50 global oil price. Is another show of government leaning by faith on its budget plan. But in all, it's important that the next government that comes in will take seriously the need to restructure and prioritize the budget and look at how it would maximize earnings, even from the first issue that we've raised on taxation policy and strategy, because it's very key for the country to move forward. And I know that this is a trying time for the nation, considering the issues of the declining crude oil price. The next is even more critical, which is the capital market reforms through utilization. Across the world, every market that has experienced reforms has also translated to massive development. The market reforms in Nigeria will be taken to the next level if the capital market is repositioned effectively with viable infrastructure fund bonds, like what happened in Malaysia and Brazil, where the governments were able to assess these bond instruments for long-term financing of viable projects, reducing its exposure to debts, which is the case with Nigeria at the moment. And so there is need for the capital market to be effectively positioned, and currently the leadership of the President of the Council, Mr. Agboje, and of course CEO Mr. Oskanyema, should be up to that task. The market risk premium put by Mr. Agboje currently is about 18% compared to Brazil and India as 11 and 12% respectively, which translates to a high cost of capital that puts a burden on even entrepreneurs. So there's need to increase the domestic savings, which will reduce risk for the market. Currently, we see that marginal investors, which are more of the foreign portfolios from the hedge funds, are dominating the space. This needs to be structured, and this will be a key economic issue to look at even beyond elections. The next key trigger to look at for our economy is the enabling environment for entrepreneurs. The growth of Nigeria will come from the new entrepreneurs, and this need for strategic policies and interventions that have long-term development plans for the growth of enterprises, even small businesses, considering the demography of Nigeria that is predominantly youth. The young people are really enterprising and gaining traction with various businesses. And so there's need for the government to really carry out robust intervention plans. This administration has brought its various you-win strategy, but that's not enough. We need a robust, massive plan that will build enterprise development. We're aware of the Bank of Industry plan and the CBN partnership, but the next government must take this seriously, provide enabling environment, and even interest rates, which currently is very tight at 13%, needs to be reviewed also to favor the businesses. The last is exploring the digital economy. The next revolution we're seeing is coming from the information and communication technologies through mobile sector. And Nigeria's demography is very interesting, like we earlier said, but its teledensity is even more amazing. Over 100 million active voice services. And this is a huge market for phones, devices, and gadgets, as we see in various hubs. And the digital economy will be the next key growth driver. Considering this, it is very important that the ICT ministry sustains its work and pace in building the broadband policy and broadband plan, so that we can unlock the potentials of the digital economy for over 50 million Nigerians, young and active people who are really doing marvelous things through technology. It's also important that we roll out our plan for a launch of satellite. That project has been over time delayed, and it's time for Nigeria to join the League of Nations to launch a strategic space plan that will also boost this infrastructure. At the moment, there is a huge opportunity, but it needs to be effectively utilized. And I believe that this will turn in great opportunities and transform the landscape of our economy. And these are the 7 issues that we raised today as the election draws near. These are issues that we believe will really need to be taken into consideration even after the elections by the next government. And these are issues we expect that the key candidates will be discussing in their various town hall meetings and various engagements with the private sector, with the public sector, with citizens across the country. And so we'll keep you in touch with further updates as they come. And so that'll be all for this edition of the Economy and Politics Show. Note this, that we've started a countdown to the 2015 elections proper. First, the Presidential and National Assembly on February 14th, and of course, the Gubernatorial and State Assembly on the 28th. And so just keep tuned, join our platforms on Facebook and Twitter, and also our website, www.webtvng.com. For further information and details, you could send your emails to news@webtvng.com. Till next edition, thank you for watching and have a lovely day.